Yeah, record.
So, Olga, you are very bravely taking on the task of learning circular breathing.
Yes.
And of course, I've completely forgotten how I learned. So it's a wonderful opportunity to for people to experience, or for you to share, what it actually feels like to learn circular breathing. We've done a few steps just yesterday. Now let's recap. Step one, which I'd call the balloon step. Do you want to demonstrate? So, Olga's cheeks are completely puffed out. I've asked her to imagine arrows pushing out the cheeks, and not just the cheeks here, but also the lips above and below. All these can you relax there? So there's fill up with air. You want to get as much volume as possible, and while you're keeping that pressure, the balloon blowing up in all these cavities, you breathe normally. And this is step one, and I would say that you could do this for several days. You know, it's just getting used to maintaining that pressure behind the lips. How does it feel?
Well, yes. I think also it is useful to do it firstly for several days, because I use the muscles I've never used before. That means that after a while I feel tired here.
Yes.
My lips feel tired, and I'm not so airtight. You know?
Yeah, you need to seal the lips
Exactly.
and increase the pressure. So I suppose as the days go on, you could practice increasing that pressure a bit and feeling the cheeks really expand. It's like a balloon. You're pumping up a balloon.
It already starts leaking.
Okay. So that's step one, and I would just refine step one a little and introduce something that's fundamental to circular breathing further down the line. And that is being able to take a deep breath rapidly. So you actually need to flare your nostrils a little, so that when you go a short, sharp breath, yes, you get as much air in as smoothly as possible. You don't want resistance. So that's why I say flare your nostrils, open the throat. Yes, so the diaphragm basically goes down and that sucks in.
So diaphragm takes everything.
Yes, the diaphragm takes in the air, short, sharp, a deep, relaxed, lovely diaphragmatic breath. And then, so now, can you do that with your cheeks inflated? That's lovely. So a short, sharp in-breath, and then a slow, gradual out-breath. And that way you're getting your brain and your body used to the rhythm.
It's not so easy to do all these things simultaneously.
No.
When I start concentrating on the breathing in,
Yes.
rapid breath, I forgot about the lips.
Yeah. So brain has lots to learn. That's beautiful. So, step one accomplished. Congratulations.
Okay, thank you very much.
Step two. And depending on, some people, it might be after several days that you'd want to think about step two, or other people that you might be ready for step two immediately. But I wouldn't rush this, because the brain has a lot of new things to learn.
And the muscles.
Step two is the raspberry step, and the trick is you need to have a lot of pressure behind the lips, and it's quite easy to make that sound. But the step is this: when you do the short, sharp in-breath, that's when you do the raspberry. So it's one action in two different directions. So in-breath and raspberry at the same time. Can you do that?
I think so. But yesterday was the first time when I did it. So hopefully today it works. It still works. Okay. First just several breaths.
Lovely. Brilliant. Now you've been practicing. You've been practicing several times yesterday because you've already introduced the next part of step 2. And maybe you should explain it because you've discovered. What did you discover doing this?
Well, yes. While when I started to raspberry, very difficult was to have enough air in the lips, because while raspberrying I lose the air. So a big challenge was to top up the air, and I needed a while to get it. So that was actually the most difficult.
Yes, so step 2, it's relatively easy to do the raspberry and in-breath simultaneously.
Yeah.
But the big challenge in step 2 is the topping up. And this topping up, how would you describe it, having just learnt it?
Yeah. This is something here in your throat, and actually the back of your tongue, which achieved this actually. So by means of your tongue, you top up the air.
It's like a bicycle pump.
Yeah, exactly.
So
and the tongue gives direction of your air to the cheeks and not to your nose to breathe it out.
Exactly. So it's basically transferring pockets of air from the throat into the mouth, rather than up through the nose. And the
Although
tongue,
you do it actually as well.
So it's simultaneous, and this all happens. The topping up at the moment in step 2, it's happening while you breathe out.
Exactly.
Okay, so let's just observe that happening.
Okay.
So that the topping up happens. Yeah, it makes a bit of a noise. You can hear the noise of the topping up with the tongue. Yes, and we can see the cheeks go in a bit. That's the air lost through the raspberry, and then it's topped up using the pumping action of the root of the tongue. And you can do several little pumps, or you can do one big pump.
At the moment I do only one.
Okay, fine. I'll just demonstrate. You can do lots of little pumps like this.
Okay. Yes.
You know, I'm going a sort of little pump, just like a bicycle pump. You know, you can either do one big one or lots of little ones. So if I allow the raspberry to completely deflate all my air. So that's my tongue going bump, pump, 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 pump. And the important thing is that while your tongue is doing that pumping up, you could be breathing in or out totally naturally. Let me just demonstrate that.
Okay.
In fact, once I finish pumping up, if I continue pumping, it starts to leak out because my pumping, I can no longer hold the pressure in there. So I'm breathing in and out, and the pumping is pushing the air out the lips. Now, so this is step 2. Now, a sort of extended step 2. What is essential in step 2 is the simultaneous raspberry and in-breath. And then the topping up. Now, having accomplished step 1 and step 2, what is the next phase?
Next step is doing actually all the same things, but with an alien object.
Thank you. So, what we're going to do now is introduce the alien object, and I suggest we do one at a time. Now, this could be anything. It could be a pen.
But we've got something
Yes,
nicer.
yes, because we know that we're going to be doing circular breathing for our loss. So we've got an appropriate alien object here, because the brain has to get used to having this thing between your lips. So that's all we're doing. Exactly the same, and we can go back to step 1, with an alien object in the mouth. And if you cover the end, then it doesn't take any air. You don't want it to take any air at this stage.
Okay.
So
I have to concentrate.
So
it makes a big difference.
it does.
And even if it is airtight, somehow I lose the air inside just while having it in my lips.
From my experience, this step 3, introducing the alien object, completely throws people.
Yes.
And it can take several days. You can do it fine. Steps 1 and steps 2, just your lips, it's okay. But there's something about having that foreign body in between your lips that trips up the brain. So try and trick your brain into imagining that alien object isn't there. And just so do it without the alien object, and then just surreptitiously put it in. But try and make your brain not know that it's gone in. Lovely.
But I almost immediately I lose my air. Or maybe it's not losing the air, it's losing the pressure.
Okay, so
that
now
is what changes.
Increase that pressure. When you put that
Yes.
foreign object in, see if you can increase the pressure.
Because having seal just between the lips is much easier than having this seal with a foreign object.
So part of this is to do with muscle training.
Yes, exactly.
And this will take several days. If your muscles are not used to sustaining pressure with this foreign object in your mouth, you've got to train those muscles, and that doesn't happen straight away.
Okay. First, without.
Well done. Okay, so you're doing the raspberry and the in-breath at the same time. That's the important thing. Well done, Olga. I noticed that you're also, perhaps because you're an oboist, you're also tending to hold those muscles there. Now, you would get more air, more volume of air into your cheeks if you can relax those muscles.
Yeah.
So in other words, it's finding the muscles that you need to use, but not using ones that you don't need to use.
Okay.
So minimum effort, maximum volume. Yeah.
So actually, it is very important that these muscles are very relaxed.
There's a balance between the muscles that you
Here,
need, because
they
when
need
you're
to be
playing the out,
relaxed. And here there must be a seal, so of course it's not.
we have hundreds of muscles, and the brain needs to learn which ones need to work, because it's a waste of effort for the ones that don't need to work to be in tension. Great, you can do that. Try it with 2. Because you're putting it in the centre, and for Aulos, they're going to be at the sides.
Yes, that's
okay?
right. So we've got even more difficult seal to achieve.
Yeah. Lovely. Look, right, in one day you've done what I think takes most people maybe a week or 2, and it's not I would always say
it's not a shame.
like learning to ride a bicycle, if you do the preparatory stages, like riding on a balance bike, for a year or 2, then riding a bike just happens instantly.
Yes.
But you need to have
waiting for this moment.
You need to have done those preparatory stages. So I think learning to circular breathing learning to do this is just like riding a bike. Don't get depressed if it doesn't work straight away. Now this is right. Now that's not working
Now
because
there is a problem with raspberries or with raspberry.
Well, I would go back to stage 1.
When I'm just breathing.
And well, you're not just breathing; you're keeping the pressure. Think of stage 1 as the balloon stage. Okay, we want that balloon to stay inflated. So you're breathing normally with a balloon. Yeah, great. Okay, that's it. Okay, I think people will regularly need to go back to stage 1.
Yes, definitely.
Because you forget, if you get if you focus on stage 2, stage 3, you can lose it. You need to go back to stage 1, so it's continually reminding your muscles of that ability to keep the pressure.
Or just building these muscles.
Yes.
At the beginning we just need to build them, because they were not used before.
Have one more go. Lovely. Okay, so the in-breath and the cheeks puffed out. Keep them puffed out. Now a short, sharp in-breath. And then once you're happy with the short, sharp in-breath, nice. And now the raspberry. Well done.
Okay, so this is my practicing for the next few days.
So we've reached the point.
But with one it is much easier.
Okay. So gradually habituate the lips, or train the lips to feel that having those foreign objects in there is normal. So several days on that.
Yes.
I think the next step requires a bit of refreshment.
Okay.
A change of scene. So we forget about the reeds, and once you're comfortable, I mean, maybe it's too early for you at this. Well, I don't know. I think this is approaching the same thing from another angle. So if we call this step 4, the bubbles step, we kind of go back to step 1 first of all, squeezing the straw so that it doesn't take any air. Okay. Well, I suppose we start off the balloon step, so nice and tight. And now what we're going to do is miss out step 2, we're going to go straight to step 3, foreign object. Introduce the foreign object, which is now a straw. Now, I'm finding it difficult to actually block the air here. But if we're topping up, what you'll find is we don't need to do the raspberry anymore. This eliminates the raspberry. If you just, it's interesting, you're able to block that straw. I can't block this straw completely. And so what's happening is there is a little leak of air, and that's perfect.
Okay.
Okay, so, you don't want much air to be going through the straw at all. So I'm actually trying to completely block it and failing, and that's just perfect. And that leak of air, which is now continuous, replaces the raspberry.
Okay.
So we're repeating step 2 with a subtle difference. Instead of a sudden raspberry, which is simultaneous with our in-breath, we've got a continuous slow leak. And the slower it is, the better. When you start with the bubbles, I would try to start with no bubbles.
Okay.
So
And
you've got a functional straw. So you don't need to top up. Okay,
No?
so you're doing step 1. But then when you feel comfortable with step 1, try very slightly opening the straw so that, yeah, that's perfect. Yeah, you don't want any more bubbles than that. And so you'll find you have to top up, because this air is leaking out continuously. Brilliant. Okay, well this is what you call circular breathing. Because the bubbles are continuous and you're breathing in and out. So you can circular breathe.
Wow, Barnaby. Thank you.
Congratulations. My pleasure. It's hugely satisfying. But now, obviously, it's one thing blowing a few bubbles into a glass of water. It's another thing sustaining the instrument.
But let's wait with this.
But actually, there's no difference. We're now on a... You've passed the crest of the hill and you're now downhill.
Okay.
From this step to being able to circular breathe on an instrument, it's downhill all the way.
Great. So how much do you think will it take just to use the pipe?
Well, if you're practicing every day, to be able to circular breathe smoothly, ironing out the the changes in pressure so that you have a completely continuous sound, for that to sink into your subconscious, you're talking years.
Okay.
Because you have to think about it. And I remember very clearly when I first learned to circular breathe on the Sardinian triple pipe, that I could either move my fingers or I could circular breathe.
Oh yes.
And that stage, it annoyed me. Because I would be playing so well, and then suddenly I realised I had no air left. I had to quickly circular breathe, but I couldn't do the circular breathing and the playing at the same time. Now that took my brain, I would say, a couple of years before I actually didn't have to think about the circular breathing.
Okay.
So it's a long
So
journey.
we're at the beginning. I am at the beginning of this journey.
Well, thank you for your patience with, and it's very exciting. I hope everyone who tries to learn circular breathing gets the satisfaction from it, because it's a long journey, however. Like any training process, there's immense satisfaction, but that satisfaction doesn't come without effort.
Of course. I am happy to be on this path. Thank you.
Thank you.